Hello, my dear friends. I'm Michaela. Welcome to my astrology channel, Todayenergy. And in this video, we will discuss the upcoming new moon in Cancer. It will happen on the 29th of June, early in the morning. And I'm talking usually Eastern European daylight saving time. And the moon and the sun will join together at 7 degrees and 22 minutes of the sign of Cancer, of course. So happy birthday, dear Cancers. Now, in the first part of the video, we will discuss the general energies of this lunation because they're going to stick with us for the next 2 weeks after it and until the next lunation, important moon phase, that will be a full moon. And then I'm going to read you my little forecasts for each separate zodiac sign. I base them on the rising sign, on your ascendant, but also I would advise you to listen the information as for your rising sign, as well as for your sun sign and your moon sign for a more general and big overview of all these tendencies and energies that will influence you on personal level from this event. Now, when I was preparing for this video, I usually think very much symbolically and very much with images and metaphorically. So in my mind, describing this new moon came images from movies like, remember this American movie called something like My Big Fat Crazy Greek Wedding, something like this. So it was a comedy about American and Greek people marrying and knowing each other's families. And there was a lot of hustle and bustle and cultural misunderstandings in this film. Then also, I hope you have seen some of the movies of the Serbian director called Emir Kusturica. One of his most famous movies is called Black Cat, White Cat. It's a really unique film. It's about the Balkan temperament and mentality. It's pretty crazy. It's laughing and crying at once at the same time. So basically, that's how potentially this upcoming new moon might feel. If you haven't seen the movies, then go ahead. For sure, I'm vouching for Emir Kusturica, whether Black Cat, White Cat, which is a pure comedy, but also we have the excellent movie Underground, which is a little bit heavy movie. It's a tragedy with comedy as well in it, but it requires a bit more like dive deep into Balkan and Serbian history. But anyways, every new moon, you know, it's a moment when the sun and the moon conjunct. So it's kind of a sacred moment of a unity of the sun, which is the male energy of action, of light, of ambitions, of manifestation. And of course, the moon, which is much more subtle energy, is the subconscious, is the emotional needs and desires, is the female ultimate, of course, motherly and female energy. And so it looks like a, I don't know, a sacred union of the man and the woman in the sky, right? In the universe. It's like conception. And usually on the new moon, we conceive ideas, desires, goals, plans for us, for our development, for the future. Now, the same day of the new moon is not the best day to launch into action because usually it's a very quiet day. We don't see visually, physically the moon on the sky, right? It's like eaten by the huge energy and light of the sun, actually. But it's a great day and moment, the new moon, for relaxing, meditating, praying, visualizing, writing down your wishes. I usually write, I have a special notebook in which I write up to 10 wishes on every full moon, and depends on the sign of the, sorry, new moon, depends on the sign of the conjunction of the sun and the moon. Like right now it's Cancer. So we have some keywords for Cancer, but also it depends very much in each of our personal natal charts where Cancer falls, where this lunation, this new moon falls. In my case, it might be 8th house. So I might need to concentrate on my goals in business, in shared resources, in financial support, or private life and intimate relationships, while for you maybe Cancer falls into your 4th house, so you better imagine, dream, and manifest things related to your home and family environment and place of living. Also, so on the day of the new moon, we are quiet, we are internalizing, we think, we write down, we set intentions, right? And already a couple of days later, when we physically can see at the sky this young new moon, then already we can start acting. Following the moon phases, we see how the moon grows and grows. So our projects are growing, developing, expanding, and eventually we see very clearly the first results of our intentions and efforts and actions on the moment of a full moon. So if it's a small project, that might be 2 weeks after the new moon, because then we have the first full moon, right? If the project is a bit deeper, more complicated, then we need to wait 6 months, because 6 months later, we have a full moon in the same sign that we had the new moon. So 6 months after 29th of June, we will have a full moon in Cancer. So then we can see manifestations of our ideas and plans, desires, wishes, goals, particularly for this area of life. For Cancerian topics, overall, it could be maternity, nutrition, food, emotions, home, place of living, or it can be according to where it falls in your natal chart, for which you might want to listen to my short forecast or the big forecast I make every month for every zodiac sign, a month ahead forecast, which is usually about half an hour long. And even for something bigger in our life that starts on particular new moon, it might manifest 18 months later, so 1.5 years later, again when we have a full moon in the same sign of this new moon, but also very close to the same degree of this sun and moon conjunction. Yeah, then on the full moon, the moon will be there, the sun will be opposing. So those are the time frames which we more or less can expect some fruits to come out of what we sow right now. What will we be reaping later? So I checked the Sabian symbolism of the 7th degree of Cancer. You know, that's kind of metaphorical, beautiful, interesting, sometimes fun explanations, meanings, descriptions of each of those 360 degrees of the zodiac. So for the 7th degree of Cancer, we see such image. 2 rabbits dressed in costumes are playing instruments on a parade. Now that's a bit of a fun image, isn't it? Imagining bunnies like with a drum or with a trumpet parading in like, I don't know, celebrating as if 4th of July, for example. Now, of course, this is just a metaphorical image. And the deeper explanation is that this degree, it might be important for you if you have some natal ascendant or sun or moon or Mercury on this degree for you, then your planet carries the energy of this degree, which basically means that by imitating our leaders or our teachers, we actually learn very well their craft, and we can master it even as by like learning theory, as by practicing, but also sometimes just by repeating what the master does. It basically reminds me the phrase of fake it till you make it, which is a pretty good advice, I would say, when you're afraid to start something, when you're not sure. Well, you can be afraid all your life. Something might stop you. And now we will talk about what fears can be stopping you with this new moon. But it's important to start doing it even before you are the master, the expert, the professor. You know, you have to start from somewhere. And the more you do it, the better you become. But you have to do it and possibly repeat from the best. You know, it's kind of imitation, but it's for your own good, and real teachers would be only happy if they can teach you by their own example. For example, I was training for many years Tai Chi Chuan, Tai Chi. That's a Chinese martial art. It's very soft, but also it's because it's kind of a active meditation in a sense, but it comes from original fighting moves from the Wudang mountain. So in Tai Chi in China originally, there is a big philosophy behind it. It's about systems in your body of meridians. It's about the chi energy running through them. It's about properly standing and imagining how it goes through your body. Yeah, this energy, what it activates. Something goes within, something comes in, right? So it's constant like push and pull, is the yin and yang theory and everything. So it's so much thinking, even when you just stand in one simple position. But at the beginning, teachers don't explain you this. Yes, you can buy books, you can read this, all the philosophy behind, but what they do in China is that you see this huge square with, I don't know, hundreds of people, maybe 1,000 students. There are a couple of masters around, and the masters just do the moves, and the students in synchronicity with the masters repeat. And so they repeat again and again and again. And maybe a year later, they already, without particularly knowing possibly even what they do it perfectly well, right? But it's constant repetition and just following and imitating your master without fearing to try. Now, let me also share the screen with you. So we can see the chart of this new moon the chart is set for 29th of June, 2022. 5 a.m. That's Sofia, Bulgaria time. So you might want to, if you want to check it for your time zone, just do it for your time zone. Mine is Eastern European Daylight Saving Time. And so we see that the luminaries Sun and Moon conjunct at 7 degrees and 22 minutes of Cancer. Of course, Cancer is a water cardinal sign. So water sign talks about emotions, about bonding between people, caring for each other, loving each other, supporting, trusting each other. It's very important for Cancer to relax, to let down this guard as of the animal, you know, the animal Cancer, the crab that goes a bit sideways and has this heavy armor, but it's very soft inside. The shell is hard. It's because Cancer need to know whom they can fully trust, and then they're so loyal and caring, gentle, and they need same attitude towards them. So it's very fragile emotionally, sensitive sign, easy actually to be hurt, easy to be offended somehow, and to get offended. And because it's cardinal, you know, these 4 important cardinal signs: Aries, spring begins when Sun goes into Aries; Cancer, summer in the Northern Hemisphere begins when Sun enters into Cancer; autumn begins when Sun enters into Libra, and winter begins when Sun enters into Capricorn. So this is the tropical astrology, right? We base the signs on the 4 cardinal points of the year. They're kind of magical and very energetically intense points. And so recently we had this summer solstice with Sun entering into the sign of Cancer. So it's an active energy. It's the energy of new beginnings, of going for it, being proactive, and Cancers are proactively caring. Physically talking about the body, Cancer speaks about the breasts and about the stomach, because it's about food and nurturing ourselves and others around us. So this all sounds wonderfully, But we have here a tricky point at the same time on the sky with the luminaries, and that's the black moon Lilith. So Lilith is a mathematically calculated point on the sky. It's part of the moon's orbit around the Earth, which you know is not a perfect circle, but it's like ellipse, ecliptic. And so the furthest point where the moon can be seen from Earth, right, to aspect towards the Earth, it's the apogee of the moon. It's the furthest point. We don't see it clearly. It's dark for us. So what we don't see well, what we don't understand, usually it's a bit scary for us. And so that's the point, mathematically speaking, where we see the black moon Lilith. Now, Lilith, there is a whole mythology, of course, behind this point. Lilith was a demon, female demon, still in the Babylonian mythology. She was truthfully scary. She was really scary for women because she would frighten women, and especially pregnant women, and she would even steal babies. So that's kind of the horror of every archetypal woman who is like, whose precious is, of course, the young one, the baby, the child, right? Also, the female demon Lilith was really, really seductive. She was a man-eater, we can say, a man-eater, because she would just, as she was stealing babies, she was also stealing husbands and basically seducing and using men, like casting spells on them. Then the myth about the demon Lilith was adopted by the Jewish mythology. You can find her name in the rabbinic scriptures, holy scriptures. And Lilith in Judaism was said to be the first wife of Adam. So when God created Adam from the dust, from the dirt, right, he also firstly created a woman for him, equal to Adam, because she was not created first from his rib, but from the earth, just as him, clay, right, from the clay. And so God inspired life into both of them. But of course, God wanted, as later Eve, Lilith as well, to serve her husbands, to kind of obey. But you see, she didn't want it. That's how she was demonized, because she was actually kind of the first feminist in history. She said, no way, I'm just equal as Adam. I'm not going to just serve him. I'm curious. I want knowledge. I want to see the world and so on. So she actually left willingly Adam. She left the paradise, Eden. And that's why from then on, for kind of the Jewish, at least mythology, Lilith became very demonized woman. Basically, she went to hang out with other fallen angels, demons, and so on. And of course, she became targeted as something absolutely terrible and terrifying and horrible. I would say that Lilith is very intriguing and interesting part of our natal chart. So when I do work, especially with female clients, we do look very deeply into position, sign, and aspects of our Liliths, because it's part of our psyche. It's kind of similar to Pluto, because it's about the shadow, our shadow, because it's about our fears. But as my lovely teachers of tarot and numerology were always saying, that in our shadows, in our subconscious fears, lie the biggest treasure of ourselves, the kind of the talents, which unfortunately are buried in so many basically fears. So Lilith, of course, is the archetype of the rebel, freedom-loving, independent, powerful woman inside of us, and even inside of the male psyche as well. But usually that would be the woman that, or the archetype of a woman that this person would be drawn to. Meanwhile, for us women, it's usually where we are, where we're also super ashamed, because maybe we wanted to expose, to show our Lilith, but someone said, oh no, you shouldn't behave this way. Oh, that's so terrible, that's so inappropriate. You should be ashamed of yourself, young lady. So yeah, it's about traumas, complexes, fears, shame, distrust. But the problem is that when we see this, our Lilith, in other people, and we become so upset and angry, we think that we hate it, how others are behaving and comporting themselves, but it's actually, it's the Lilith within us. And the worst thing is that Lilith, like Pluto, withholds, gathers frustration, indignations, offenses, kind of grudges, sadness, bitterness. And then in special situations, when we're supposed to play it nicely, Lilith is the one which sometimes come up front, depends on the transits and what's going on in the chart. And then we become like beasts, you know, and then we are even more ashamed of ourselves. And we're like, oh my God, I should never behave this way. Why do I do it? Why do I self-sabotage? So if we don't work with the Lilith in our psyche, in our natal charts, it becomes somehow very frustrating and really scary energy. Also, where Lilith lies, usually lie our deep fears, subconscious. Usually we might not realize it, we might not even admit it at first, but it's there buried. And from within, she's just like sometimes striking and biting in a sense, right? So that's in personal sense, but it's really a chest of treasures. We have to dig it out. We have to face it, as well as Pluto, regain our power and be the best of the, let it free, but somehow, of course, controlled by us, not by others. Now, in social, in mundane astrology, if we talk about Lilith in the picture, then of course it's about provocations. It's about some misinterpretations, gossips, distorted mirrors, dramas, illusions. It might be, of course, because currently Lilith is in Cancer. She spends 9 months in each sign by transit. So Cancer being about emotions, you can imagine that Lilith now can trigger really emotional states. Cancer talking about childhood, infancy, home, family history, memories. Now, all this can be very much triggered on collective level. On collective level, countries might be suddenly very nationalistic because Cancer is, you know, our patrimony, our roots, and so on. It can be extremely, during this new moon especially, usually, as I said at the beginning of the video, new moons are really quieter moments because it's about conception before even the birth, right? Full moons are the ones with all the emotional turmoils usually, but in this case, this new moon can be frankly very emotional because of Lilith here, and most of these emotions might be just, as we say in my country, a storm in a glass of water. Or as Shakespeare said, much ado about nothing. So there might be scandals, provocations. It might be something playing on your emotional attitude, your patriotism, love for your country. It might be some emotional manipulations from close people around you. It might provoke this over-exaggerated motherhood feelings, like overprotecting someone, smothering care for someone too much. Or of course, it might awaken our own inner insecurities, childhood fears, childhood traumas. Not only that, but we see that the luminaries and Lilith are being squared by Jupiter in Aries. Now, of course, Jupiter is a wonderful, beautiful benefactor and very good planet usually to all of us, bringing mostly good things. And we spoke a lot about Jupiter being in Aries. Soon I plan to release a video about Jupiter retrograding in Aries. That's going to happen in late July. So it's the energy of the superhero. It's the energy about acting, about being the leader, but being just an honest leader. Because Aries is fighty, right? It's about action. It's about pioneering, no fear, being fearless, unstoppable, or at least so Jupiter thinks. But in this case, of course, a square is an intense aspect. It's some kind of, discomfort. It's about action. It incites us to act. But the reason, the motives here might be a bit of a wrong motives, because yes, Jupiter here thinks that it's unstoppable, gives us the faith we can do a lot. It's a risky energy. Jupiter likes the thrill of the risk, and Aries likes the action, but it can be very impatient. Yeah, because remember, cardinal signs are about new beginnings, starting something new, forgetting the old. But in this case, the old, the history, the memory, the emotions might be a bit of a bad advisor, because it might be just a distorted image of the reality. It might be just a drama, like in these movies I mentioned at the beginning of Emir Kusturica with the music of Goran Bregovic. It's so crazy, like your blood is boiling and you want to dance and to drink and to laugh, but then you feel bad, you feel then ashamed from all this party and what have you, right? So yeah, here moderation would be hard to achieve, but it's important to be somehow in your senses, because don't forget, Jupiter is also great wisdom. Jupiter is justice. Jupiter is moral code. So we have to be honest, frank with ourselves and with the others. And there can be huge emotional turmoils, overwhelming emotions, Cancer, provoking rushed actions, Jupiter, even maybe scandals sometimes. And so, but look, we have some solutions. The luminaries are in Venus term. You see here, this little division of the Cancer sign is the Venus term. And also, you don't see it here, but checking the dwots, the luminaries are in Virgo dwot. And Virgo is ruled by Mercury. So on this conjunction, we have the Venusian influence and Mercurial influence. And look at that, both planets currently are in Gemini. So we're talking about self-expression, possibly expression of our feelings. Let others know how you feel, but not as a warrior, not as a general, not as a preacher, because Jupiter likes to preach, and his truth here, my truth, is only the right truth. Yeah, but Gemini likes to be reasonable. Gemini likes to collect facts, likes to it's not about emotions, it's about knowledge and information, practicality even, if you will. And you see, Venus is sextiling Jupiter. So Lilith is squaring Jupiter. It's like, come on, I'm so offended, I'm boiling within. It's the tantrums, like this childish scandals, even almost. Spoiled sometimes, childish or overprotective. Save me, protect me, yeah, like I'm the baby, I need someone else to take care of me. But then Venus in Gemini, sextile is chances, opportunities, choices to make. So Venus is very gentle, very diplomatic. Venus is usually soft and peaceful. She likes good company here. She likes good talk, good chat. meeting people. And so maybe you can talk about your feelings rationally, right? Mercury as well, going into soon into trine with Saturn. So that's grounded, reasonable thinking that would help us a lot. Because frankly, the situation on the sky is pretty dense, intense, yeah? Look what else we have here. Another planet in a cardinal sign is Pluto in Capricorn. And Pluto is like Lilith, I mentioned. It's about withholding a lot, piling up, collecting traumas, old memories, desires. But Pluto gives a lot of fears. Should I do it? Should I not? Pluto is the power which we gave away when we were young and helpless. But eventually, Pluto is about regaining your power back, right? In mundane astrology, Pluto is about this powerful people, the board of directors, the government, the bank, the secret government. Pluto is everything hidden. But being in Capricorn, Pluto wants to destroy these old structures, the things that are already rotten, the things that no longer serve the people, the things, that's something from the past, stagnation. A vertical, I think it's called a vertical line of rule, right? From the very bottom to the top. And yeah, and Pluto is reforming, Pluto is changes. Plus you see that Mars is also in cardinal sign, in its own sign in Aries. So Mars is very much ready to fight. Mars cares only for his own desires, basically, and wishes. But Mars and Pluto are about to form a square. Well, actually, it's already, you can feel this square already in late June. I think it will play out the most on the 1st or 2nd of July. You can check this in my monthly forecasts for each zodiac sign. I mention it for every one of you. But it's an intense energy. It's like explosive energy, aggressive energy, impatient as well. Pluto is impatient to done his job in Capricorn. For I think something like for the last time now, he is retrograde in Capricorn, because next year he will dip his toes into Aquarius for the first time ever, really. Because when Pluto was discovered, he was in Leo. So we can now only theorize what will happen when Pluto will be 30 years transiting Aquarius, or 23 years, something like that. But anyways, Pluto rushes to conclude his agenda in Capricorn. Mars rushes to conclude his agenda in Aries, because just in a couple of days, like up to a week or so, he will already go into Taurus. So yeah, that's kind of an intense, pushy, rush energy for action, changes, bursting out. So we need this gentle Venusian diplomacy and support. Also, another planet in mutable sign, just like Gemini, ready to adjust. Pisces is also ready to adjust and just to love and trust and care gently, unconditionally. And Neptune in Pisces is calming down Pluto. You see, they also form a sextile. So how nice, the universe, the angels are actually helping us here to relieve our grief, relieve our anger in a more adaptable, gentle way, not so fighty and straightforward. But still, this new moon is an intense, I would say, time. The same day of the new moon, and of course 2 weeks ahead of it. 2 weeks after, we still feel all this energy. Oh, besides this, of course, it's a bit early to speak about it, because the precise conjunction between the North Node and Uranus in Taurus will happen in late July, but that's going to be like the repetition for the new quantum leap of faith into the future. North Node talks about the future. Uranus is very rebellious, and it's like shocking new beginnings suddenly. So wow, this energy will shake up our Taurus foundations, really. But it will be kind of, Saturn will say not so fast, because Saturn will square it from Aquarius. Oof, that's going to be a topic to talk about in late July and also in the autumn this year, September, October, big tension between these big guys, Uranus and Saturn. But now, now we talk about Cancer, about memories, emotions, pain, possibly some pain, shame, which we have to release. But like Jupiter can be just either really proud is like huge ego. Aries is ego, Jupiter is huge, right? So we have to be very careful about it. Now, who will feel the most the energies of this new moon? Definitely Cancers. If you have any points like ascendant or MC in Cancer, between the 5th and 9th degree of Cancer, Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, right? But also if you have any important planets or points in the other 3 cardinal signs, Aries, Libra, Capricorn, between the 5th and the 9th degree of those. So I think I said everything about the general energies. I'll stop sharing the screen so I can share with you a couple of words about each separate sign, what you can expect from this particular new moon, a bit of crazy influence from Lilith, the Black Moon Lilith, and of course magnified by Jupiter, but also Jupiter can be of big help if we use the wisdom of Jupiter. So listen the forecast for your rising, sun and moon signs for better overview of what to expect. Now, Aries, for you, this new moon happens in your 4th house. And of course, normally it means something new going on in the family, in the place of living, in the home where you live, like repairments, redecoration, moving in, out. But because Lilith is here, so there might be a bit of a drama in your family environment. Someone might try to emotionally manipulate you, maybe your parents, maybe children are running all around. I think it's more, it sounds to me like a big family reunion with a lot of party, a lot of food, like wedding, for example. But coming from the Balkans, I think it was in one of our Balkan countries that we were saying that it's a no wedding if you don't have at least someone shooting or someone fighting, like at least 2-3 fights during the wedding, and people are hugging each other and saying that they actually love each other and respect each other. So something like this, like crazy a la Kosturica movies environment, because Jupiter is in your sign. So you might be either this jolly person who is actually raising the hustle and bustle around you, and actually kind of the main superhero around, but also you should be careful with your reputation, because 1st house is also how other people perceive us and how we relate to others. So that's why it would be great if you use your Jupiter not just for fun and to boost all this chaos around you, because Jupiter can be a bit chaotic here and too pushy, and also it can expand your body. So be careful with overeating on this family feast. Or being over emotional, but also it's about wisdom, and it's about you, Aries, being the commander, being the general. So instead of being just the soldier and running on fire around, be the, set the rules, teach others some senses. Don't patronize others, paternalize, but just be just and wise. And of course, Lilith, how do we fight Lilith? I forgot to mention this at the general description. We laugh at it. We don't pay attention to these fears. We say, okay, I see you, fear. I don't try to hide you, because it gets worse if I try to push you under the rug. I recognize you, but I don't fear you anymore. I will do it anyways. I will repeat after my master. And in this case, Aries, you are the master, you are the teacher. So give good example to people around you, especially in your home environment, okay? Taurus, for you, this new moon happens in your 3rd house. So new possibilities to travel, to study, to buy or repair your vehicle, to meet people. Maybe you're moving to new neighborhood, meet new neighbors, meeting with your siblings, some news from them. good thing for commercial and internet, PR campaigns, promote or open a website, do the trade. But you see, because it's with Lilith, there might be distortion of information. Okay, just keep it in mind. If your relatives are talking to you something, your neighbors, just be discerning about all this flood of chaotic information, meeting people, courses, running around. Yeah, because third house is our daily life, when we go to work, our environment and neighborhood. So it can be a little bit misleading, chaotic, too emotional. People might try to manipulate you with information. Jupiter is in your 12th house, so this all can provoke your inner sense of, ego. Like, who are you to tell me this info? I know the best, right? But this is in a bad case scenario, Jupiter being like inflating you like a balloon from within, with either some fears or like righteousness, but maybe a bit like making you autocratic too much, or preaching others. Being vain, for example, wanting too much subconsciously. Jupiter in the 12th house, you don't see it, it's in your background. But why don't you use it to actually to gain some knowledge, to have faith, to exert wisdom? It's your inherited, natural, subconscious wisdom. So you might help yourself and others just by staying cool, be zen, practice meditation, tai chi, go on to beautiful nature, get away from all this info noise that it's around you, possibly around these days, to not be contaminated, because Lilith in third house can give you informational contamination and people contamination as well. So just rely on higher powers. They're protecting you. Jupiter in the 12th is like a guardian angel, especially if you travel on the road and so on. Don't speed too much. Also, Lilith in the third can give you interest in topics taboo, topics about esoterics, about witchcraft, about astrology, tarot, like witchy stuff, about feminism, for example, and intimate relationships, right? Gemini, for you, this new moon happens in your second house. So new financial possibilities, new things you would like to buy, new things you would like to cook and eat, new diet, new furniture, new clothes, new work project to make money. That's all great. But also Lilith is there in second house, right? So it's about distorted information. Maybe Lilith will give you desires to buy this and that and too much to satisfy yourself, but then you're not sure you need it, you will overspend. Or maybe Lilith is like, oh, no, don't spend, because we are afraid of the day of the black day of no money and poverty will come. So fears of poverty. So overworking maybe because of this too much. Maybe Lilith will whisper in your ear, oh, look at yourself, you're so chubby, you need to lose weight. But remember, Lilith is our own complexes, distorted mirror. It's not always true, okay? And we say in my country that fear has big eyes. So when you fear something, you see it as triple bigger, Jupiter is in your 11th house. On one hand, your friends can be the ones that instigate you to be afraid of something, to spend too much or work too much in group common projects. Maybe you're already tired of these colleagues that constantly put more and more load on you. On the other, maybe they will be provoking you, let's go to the seaside, let's go to this festival and this party, and you're like just spending and spending money to be with your friends or to go to yoga with them and so on. But on the other side, maybe you will meet this very wise, important teacher who will truly help you with your body image, with your self-esteem, with your finance. Maybe you are subscribing to a finance management course or public speaking course that will allow you overcome your how to say, like when you are too timid to speak in front of public. And there you will meet some lovely friends, maybe on these courses. Maybe you will meet Jupiter, 11th house friends who are like Lilith, interested in esoterics, tarot, astrology, some taboo topic by the society. Cancers, happy birthday once again. So Cancer, for you, this new moon happens in your first house, of course. So it's a green light for all possible new beginnings, new projects, set up new goals for yourself, for your relationships, because it's the axis of me and the world, me and my partners. Anything you wish for, write down your wishes. Of course, first house is about the physical body, the health, diet, nutrition, how do we start things. And here Lilith can be the problem, because it might give you fears. Oh, don't do this, you're not able to do it, you're not qualified, you're not beautiful enough. Or Lilith can push you to be too proactive, too aggressive, too emotional, on the spotlight, right? Because first house is basically how the world sees us and how we interact with the world. And besides, Jupiter is in your 10th house. Like on the negative side, Jupiter is like a magnifying glass. So it's like when we're on the stage under the limelights, on the spotlight. And so you might be a bit too much sensitive, over emotional, create some Santa Barbara, some drama around you, and people will kind of feel it and see it coming from you. On the other hand, Lilith might give you some distorted look on your body, like, oh my God, I'm so chubby, I need to lose some weight, and so on. Maybe you do, but maybe you don't. Maybe it's about your health. Maybe Lilith will give you this hypochondriac feeling, so that, oh, here it hurts and here it hurts, right? So running to doctors. But just know that it might be misinformation and your own inner insecurities and fears that are now possibly magnified. On the other hand, if you act reasonably, consciously, you might get support from your parent, colleagues, bosses, superiors, teachers. Yes, on one hand, maybe, by the way, because Lilith is the rebel woman, the independent woman. So maybe suddenly you Cancer, you normally are very shy and quiet and reasonable, but suddenly with this Jupiter in 10th house, Lilith, you will be like, oh my God, I haven't had a pay raise for 10 years. I deserve it. So you go there and you make a scandal, right? So just do it in a proper, wise, fair way. Like take the good side of Lilith to give you power and boldness, but also the good side of Jupiter, not to make a wildfire out of it, but to achieve what you want, your success. You really can achieve now a lot when you respect and love yourself in the first place. Leo, for you, Lilith is in your 12th house and the new moon is in 12th house. So new spiritual or esoteric interest. You start working with your psychology, and you should, your past, your subconscious, because Lilith being in 12th house now for about 9 months can basically sabotage you sabotage yourself from within, and you don't even realize it. Like finally you have this beautiful person next to you, or this on this interview they admit you to this job, and suddenly something clicks from within and you make this scandal and everything goes away to the hell, right? And it's because you have your inner, as each of us, of course, we all have inner fears, insecurities, memories from childhood that we don't necessarily remember is like consciously, but the body remembers, for example. So Lilith in 12th house can be this internal demon working against you. So it's important exactly to dig it out, excavation, like Pluto, excavation job with your psychologist, with your spiritual teacher. Talk about it, release this fear. The more you try to keep it in secret, the worse it gets, by the way. So yeah, Lilith in 12th house can be secrets, and you have to let them go in a very proper, healthy way. Of course, no drama, no overflooding others with drama and tears, but with the right people, specialist. And so you can be free from this inner oppressor, in a sense. Jupiter is in your 9th house. So professors, teachers, psychologists, experts can help you, people you trust, but also be careful with fake, false prophets, false schools, false knowledge, false teachers. Now you might fall into a trap of pseudo spirituality, pseudo guru, right? And also ninth house is your reputation. So here you might be this wise person who is sharing your practical knowledge and wisdom that you experience, maybe about your past traumas. How did you heal from it? How did you stop smoking? How did you stop drinking? Share it with people and they will lean towards you. They will trust you. They will want you to be their guru, but don't be the fake guru, or don't be also the over patronizing person for the others. Yeah, and because ninth house is about documents and 12th house is about relocation, maybe you're planning, Leo, some relocation, but you have some hard time from institutions. So also just be zen, relax. Lilith is the most dangerous when we either don't realize it or we fear it, and she blocks us because we don't dare to do something. You have to dare, you're brave, Leos, but just be wise, honest, patient, reasonable, like with dignity, you know. Leos, you have this beautiful lion dignity, lioness. So be that magnetic leader and don't mind these small bureaucratic obstacles in case you find them on your way, okay? Virgos, for you, this new moon happens in your 11th house. So new possibilities for new friends, teammates, groups. Maybe you are going now to a yoga class. You will meet some friends there. It might be something related to esoteric, psychology, tarot, astrology, something that normally is seen as a taboo topic. Maybe you are interested now in serial killers and you go into a forum where other people are also interested in serial killers, you know, like Lilith. She's wicked sometimes, she's weird. But 11th house, a new moon with Lilith, you might meet wicked, weird people, or you might meet feminist people. You might meet rebel people. You might go into anti-establishment protests with other people from the opposition, you know. Jupiter is in your 8th house. So we're talking here about desire to be in the business, to get some financial support, to participate with others into some group shared resources. Maybe each of you invest into something to build something together. But mind you, because Jupiter here is like rushing into it, maybe it's a speculative investment, be careful. Maybe a bank is offering you too good to be true deal, and then you see that you have to pay off this credit for the 35 next years with huge interest rate, right? So be mindful about any sort of shared financial operations, like taking loans and so on. And also, of course, your partner might be these days a bit over the top, or your friends, they all might try to just emotionally manipulate you. Virgo, you're so reasonable, you're so practical, and suddenly there is this storm of emotions either within you, which is good then to talk to friends, talk to your psychologist, or share with your support group. Or your friends or partner might become a little bit too crazy these days. But just remember, we don't need to fear Lilith. We need to face it, confront it. Maybe that's your fear of popularity, of doing some online business, of talking in front of many people. But the more you you have to recognize it, but the more you fear it, the more you attract the situations in which you feel like with tight hands, right? So you need to laugh at it, make mistakes, be funny, act funny, you know. Your right people will find you and support you no matter what. Don't be a slave of Lilith fears. Libra, for you, this new moon happens in your 10th house. So great career possibilities, new work, new profession, position, new status, being married, being divorced, being a manager, move to a different country for job. That's great, or something new in the life of your parents happens. But Lilith is here as well. So this all might be distorted by emotions, by caprices, by tantrums. Maybe your parents are trying to hold you back home from relocation because they're so afraid to lose you, or so they're like a bit playing on your emotions, feeling of guilt. Maybe you are too afraid to take this leadership position because of this inner still childhood fears of I don't know, shame and being a mess in front of everyone. But those are the Lilith mechanisms. We have to acknowledge it, but then just go and do, no matter the fear. The fear should not tie our hands, especially for you, for your career and social development. And Jupiter is in your 7th house. Now, it might be some difficult clients that go over the top emotionally, want to speak with your manager, you know. It might be your partner fighting with your parents, or being dramatic because you spend too much time at work. Or it might be, on the other hand, maybe if we use Jupiter wisely, this is in the case of your partners, they must use Jupiter wisely to support you, to understand you, to guide you, to share with you their knowledge and their experience and teach you through their own personal experience. That might be a personal or business partner, colleague, client even. It might be a consultant, a lawyer, and so on. They might be very generous with you, actually, and very inspiring. Scorpios, for you, this new moon happens in your 9th house. That's a house of reputation. So you might become popular. You might open a website, publish a book, an article. You might travel, become a teacher or a student, of course. You might find teachers. But because Lilith is involved, you have to mind your reputation. Be careful with how you express your opinions. Lilith might give you too emotional, too overreactive. You might meet some fake gurus, pseudo psychologists, pseudo teachers that might teach you something wrong. So be very discerning about your sources of knowledge and people who inspire you. There might be some annoyance by public institutions that might try to bully you or threaten you, you know. Jupiter is in your 6th house. Jupiter talking about a lot of work, a lot of chaos at work, a lot of drama possibly with employees or colleagues or people who are supposedly here to help you. Health issues or dramas, but here again, be careful because Lilith might give you distorted information. Jupiter in 6th might add you some volume, some kilograms more than you would like to have. So it's good to turn Jupiter wisely into find the best a health system for you, exercises, daily regime, no, because Jupiter is about parties, eating, gluttony, overindulgence. Yeah, but 9th house can help you new knowledge, for instance, about how to take care of your body. Maybe it's about blood type and so on. And of course, Jupiter might be still these wise people who help you with documents and with legal matters, especially at work and while traveling. You might travel for work, you know. Sagittarius, for you, this new moon happens in your 8th house. So that's possibility for new personal private relationship or new development of your old relationship, new financial support, investments, and getting benefits from shared resources, family help, friends help, partners help. But because Lilith is here, you might get some tricky, seductive, seducing offers that might not always be as good as they sound. For instance, if a bank is about to offer you a business loan, but then you realize you will be like tied for them for the next, I don't know, 40 years with huge interest rate, or your partner goes a bit over the top, like emotionally or with their promises. Because Jupiter is in your 5th house, it talks about romantic relationships or children. So there might be some, do you want kids? Do you don't want kids? Do you have the money to have a family? Do you want to move in together, or you don't know? So there might be some emotions from your side or your partner's side. If you have already kids, they might be a little bit like overexcited and spoiled, tantrums, wanting something. So you need kind of to, I don't know, take a loan to support your child who wants to go travel Australia, for instance, or go to study to Australia. I think I heard it's very expensive, right? So it's about being wise. Yeah, maybe it's about your own inner child. So you're like, I always wanted this pink bicycle, and god damn it, in my childhood no one heard my wishes and I never had pink bicycle, and now I deserve it. So you'll buy the pink bicycle, which maybe costs too much money because it's like a vintage retro model, and you will invest in it, but then maybe you'll sell it, then resell it for even better money, you know. But be reasonable, attend your child, your partner, your inner child needs. In a sense, be good, kind to yourself. Listen to the wise advices of even your children or your partner. They might be really reasonable and stop you from some risky investments, 8th house, or risky credits. So be very thoughtful about it. Think about consequences. You know, 5th, 8th house, it's sometimes about a lot of fun, but then it's like pregnancy, for example. So you have to be thoughtful about this. Capricorn, for you, this new moon happens in your 7th house. So new relationships, new level of relationship, engagements, weddings, signing contracts. Maybe you sell or buy something. Jupiter is in your 4th house. So maybe it's about property and finding yourself the clients or the real estate agent that, sorry, that can truly help you. But Lilith is in the 7th, so you might experience some manipulations, emotional extortions from your partners, dramas, you know, like this Santa Barbara soap operas from people with whom you communicate. There might be personal or business partners. It might be connected to your family, to your home, to your property, to your homeland. Maybe you want to relocate, your partner is like, how we will relocate? I don't want to leave my parents, or they want to relocate, but you don't want to leave your parents. So there might be a lot of chaos and hustle and bustle. Maybe you are moving the house and it creates a bit of nerves around you. Children are running around and looking for some new school for kids and so on. At the same time, Jupiter can be used as wisdom, right? So maybe your parents can give you very sound and wise advice, or some memory, yeah, something from your childhood. Relatives can help you somehow. Aquarius, for you, this new moon happens in your 6th house. So possibilities for new work, new office, new colleagues, employees. 6th house is sometimes troubles, things we need to take care of, repair, help others. So maybe such new situation will arise. Maybe you start repairing your car, possibly vehicle, or work with your neighbors, because Jupiter is in your 3rd house. Jupiter magnifies everything. So Jupiter in 3rd house, a lot of information. Everyone tells you what to do, how to behave, your neighbors, your cousins, brothers, neighborhood. Maybe you are subscribing to new courses, and that might help your work, 6th house. But remember that Lilith is in 6th house. So as well, it's about distorted information about or from your employees or colleagues, about your health, from the doctors. Maybe you'll find some overreacting doctor or false expert. So you have to be very discerning, dear Aquarius, with matters about work and health. You have to find the right regime for you, because Lilith might tell you, oh, you're too chubby, too fat, you need to exercise a lot, or oh, I'm so ashamed, I don't exercise at all. Because Lilith plays with fears, with shame, with childhood traumas. Here, Lilith can give you, how it's called, hypochondria. So, oh, my heart, I cannot breathe, or something like this, but it's just because Lilith is there. You have to acknowledge your fears. Maybe you are afraid of taking more responsibility at work because of something. You need to work it, right? What you fear, to why would you fear to be a manager, to kind of lead our other people projects and so on. And you might find the right information about it. Jupiter in third house can be the right skills, the right knowledge, the right forum in internet to support you, right? Documents, papers, course, studies, and so on. It's good by Jupiter in Aries in third house to practice as you go, right? To study, but not only theoretically, but apply it immediately. Remember the beginning of the video, fake it till you make it for success. And don't mind Lilith, just laugh about it. There might be some misunderstandings at work, right? Just turn it into humor, be above it. Pisces, for you, this new moon happens in your 5th house. Beautiful opportunities for holidays, romantic experiences, a new hobby, passion in life, something that will spark your joy and interest. Children, spending time with children, having children. But Lilith is here, so your kids might give you a hard time, or your partner might be too over emotional, too spoiled, manipulate you somehow. And Jupiter is in your 2nd house. Remember, they're in square with Lilith, with the lunation. So you might spend some money for your desires, for your hobbies, your kids, your inner child. Maybe you're like, I always wanted to jump with a parachute or bungee jumping. Now I'm gonna go and find this guys that make it, and pay them and jump, but I probably have to work additional shifts to gather some money for a parachute or equipment or something like this, right? So either Jupiter in 2nd house is too much work, or it can give you good money as well. It's inflating everything, it's expanding everything, so budget, finances, but also spendings. Self-esteem, good self-esteem as well. Maybe 5th house is your stage performance, but Lilith there is like, I'm so ashamed, I'm too chubby or something. Jupiter in 2nd house, because 2nd house is how we feed, dietary plan and regime, so it might give you a bit more expansion of your body, but also your voice might be heard. Yeah, Jupiter, you might preach people, teach them something. Your kids might find you too preachy, or they might need your financial support for some of their projects. Yeah, so it might be about this. And of course, 5th and 2nd house, it can be about a lot of joy, just like with Sagittarius, but then pregnancy as well, it's possible. So be just thoughtful about the consequences of your joy. So you see, I was talking about all this Lilith stuff with smile, because we have to be almost sarcastic with Lilith, right? We have to not give away our dreams and power and desires just because Lilith is a bit angry or spoiled or provocative, and threatens us with shame, because we experienced before this shame, possibly when maybe even when last time Lilith was on this particular spot. So we have to use it for our advantage, to be more brave, more bold, more independent. And Jupiter here might help us as well if we use it wisely and having optimism. So wish you wonderful new moon in Cancer, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.